Welcome to Lesson 12, the graduation. 11 lessons gave you the mental models, the translation tables, the coexistence patterns, the migration paths, the performance data, and the framework for saying no. Today, all of it collapses into one decision flowchart you can run on any web infrastructure scenario in about 5 minutes, and we'll prove it works by applying it to 4 real cases. After this, you don't know about Apache versus nginx. You decide between them. Before you ever touch the flowchart, you answer 4 questions, in this exact order. Workload first, because without your real traffic mix, everything downstream is theater. Then cost budget, then rollback risk tolerance, then team experience. Each one constrains the next. Skip the workload question and your cost math is fiction. Skip risk tolerance and you'll pick a cutover your team can't actually execute. This ordering is what separates senior judgment from we should try nginx because Reddit said so. Here's where those 4 questions become a single diagram. You start at the top with your own L10 baseline, then branch on workload. Live PHP, heavy goes left toward stay. Mixed traffic goes center toward coexist. Static and cached dominant goes right toward migrate. 3 paths, 4 questions, 12 distinct recommendations. And every box cites the lesson that earned it. Walk it once for your scenario, and in 5 minutes you have a defensible answer. Let's walk it for real. WordPress shop, 100,000 uniques a day, 70% cacheable. Q1 sends us right toward migrate. Q2, 45 grand of work, 40% off the hosting bill, ROI in 4 months. Q3, e-commerce can't eat downtime, so dual run, not cutover. Q4, team's a first-timer, which locks in L09 over L07. Recommendation writes itself, migrate via dual running, FASCII cache on 90% of pages, and watch cart conversion at every stage. Now flip the scenario. Internal HR tool, 50 users, 95% live PHP. Q1 sends us left, Apache wins. Q2 seals it, 20 grand and 3 weeks to lose 5% throughput. ROI isn't just bad, it's negative, so Q3 and Q4 don't even get asked. Recommendation, stay on Apache and use the L11 pushback script on the VP. Modernize is not a workload metric. Demand specifics, or spend the 20 grand on database indexes that actually move a number. Third scenario, opposite end of the spectrum. Public JSON API, no PHP at all. Apache is just reverse proxying to Node. Q1 screams nginx. Pure proxy work at 5,000 concurrent connections is exactly where it wins 2 to 3 times over. Q2 confirms it. 30 grand pays itself back in 6 weeks on CPU alone. Q3 is the interesting one. A 99.99% SLA gives you 52 minutes a year, so even a 60-second cutover is unacceptable. That forces L09 dual running, and notice, the senior team in Q4 could have handled L07, but SLA dominates. That's the rule worth tattooing. Risk constraints override team fit every time. Fourth scenario, and this is where the framework really earns its keep. 10-year-old Drupal, 5 plugins shipping their own htaccess. That's an L03 red blocker, and red means non-negotiable. Apache must stay where those plugins live, but Q1 shows 60% cacheable PHP and 15% static, so nginx in front buys you a 3 times speedup on 75% of traffic for 25 grand, ROI in 2 months. The recommendation writes itself, L06 coexistence. And the rule underneath, when red plugins exist, full migration is impossible. Hybrid isn't a compromise, it's the correct answer. So here's what 11 lessons actually compress into. 3 principles, and none of them are about Apache or nginx. First, match workload to architecture, not to trends. You specify what it depends on. Second, the framework is portable, measure, cost, choose, execute with gates. Use it for MySQL to Postgres, REST to GraphQL, AWS to GCP. Same template, different specifics, and third, the one that pays your salary, earn the right to say no. Saying yes is always easier. Saying no with evidence is senior engineering. And to make that discipline portable, here's the whole curriculum on one page. Translation built your config fluency. Coexistence taught you to layer servers in production. Migration gave you the cutover playbook. The two honest lessons, benchmarking and pushback, turned opinions into evidence. And the capstone ties it together with a flowchart you can actually defend. Print this. Hand it to the next engineer who asks you what to pick. But a framework you don't practice is just trivia, so here are 3 drills to make it muscle memory. First, 30 minutes. Take a real site you operate, run the 4 questions, walk the flowchart, and document the recommendation. Then 60 minutes to compress that into a 1-page architectural memo. Current state, cost, expected gain, top 3 risks, rollback, and a measurable success metric. Finally, 30 minutes presenting it to a peer playing a skeptical VP who pushes back hard. Knowledge becomes composure through reps, not reading. After those reps, take stock of what you've actually earned. You can read Apache and nginx configs fluently and debug across both. You can architect a 3-tier coexistence stack with clean header contracts and proxy pass routing. You can lead a 60-second production cutover with a 5-gate playbook and a real rollback. You can run WRK benchmarks, interpret P99 and cache hit ratio, and defend the ROI math. And you can write a 1-page recommendation, including the recommendation not to migrate. 5 concrete artifacts. Put them on your CV. 12 lessons, 4 stages, 1 framework. Translation, coexistence, migration, and the honest no-go. That's the whole discipline, and it now belongs to you. Take it to your next real infrastructure decision, the one where someone's waiting on your judgment. Thank you for doing the work. Now go ship.